As yogis, we spend a lot of time stretching out our hips, but in reality, we need to be spending time strengthening our hips. In this video, I'm going to show you how to test if your hip is weak and show you a hip strengthening exercise that's part of my progressions for preparing for squat pose. Hi, I'm Melissa from Yoga with Melissa. Right now in our membership community, I'm teaching a series of videos with progressions to some more challenging poses like Malasana or garland pose or full squat pose. So while I've always had super mobile hip rotators, I've always studied with hip flexion in my yoga practice. Malasana Pose requires deep hip flexion, but as yogis, we tend to overstretch, leaving our muscles weak. If you're new here, welcome. I teach a lot of yin and restorative, but it's good to balance that out with some yang styles of yoga too. If you're a returning student, thanks for coming back and trying some new things with me. Today, I'm going to show you how to test if your hip flexors are weak and then show you one way to strengthen your hip flexors that I use in a Malasana prep class that I filmed for our members. Malasana Pose requires mobility and stability of the hips and pelvis. It requires deep knee bends, and then it also requires mobility and stability of your pelvis that will be supported by movements that require both strengthening of the hip flexion as well as mobility of the hips. So in this class that I filmed for the members, I did several movements using the mini bands and the blocks. So let's test out if your hip is weak from overstretching in yoga poses like lunge, dancer pose, bow pose, or warrior one pose. So come into Tadasana, draw one knee into your chest with your hands and let go. And if your knee drops before 90-degree angle, then your hip flexors are weak. If you don't have enough strength in your hip flexors to hold your hip above in this flexion pose, then you probably need to strengthen your hip a little bit. So let me know in the comments if you tested weak or strong. So let me show you the exercise that I used in my membership class to prepare them for garland pose, because I think it's great to be preparing both the stability and mobility that you need for flexion, but also the core strength that you need to support in axial extension in the spine that's lengthening up through your spine. So you're going to take the band and you're going to place it around your feet. And you're going to stand nice and tall, take your feet wide, and you're going to stand up, really lengthen up through your spine. So that's the axial extension. That means just lengthening your spine up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift your foot up. So that's going to strengthen your hip flexors, strengthening your hip flexors. So you could do 10 to 12 repetitions on one side, and then you could do 10 to 12 repetitions on the other side, standing on the band on the ball of your foot. So if you're already a member, I will leave a link to this class in the show notes, in the comments below. And if you are not a member, I will leave a link on how to become a member if this class is of interest to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hi, I'm Malasana.